Actually, I'll just read the title. The title of today's live stream is Excuses for Failures by the FBI and MAGA for Thomas Crooks, Charlie Kirk, and Cole Allen. We have something weird going on, and I don't understand it, but I kind of do, but I don't want to jump to conclusions, so I'm kind of staying away from that. What I want to do though is talk about it today because it's a very strange thing we're witnessing. Because while we're going to the gas pump and paying, depending on where you are, you know, 350, 380, 4, 6, up to $8 in this country, right? What's going on, KMC? While we're doing this, we have the federal government trying to spend more money. And this is what this feels like. I'm not going to jump to any conclusions. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I do subscribe to a lot of conspiracies, but there's something behind those. This may be one of those. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. I'm not a fan of just making stuff up. I like to back what I say up. And when I saw what's going on with this whole, what's his name? He's got 3 names, $6. See, $6. Cole Thomas Anthony or Cole Thomas Allen, whatever his name is. It's weird to me. I was talking to a white friend of mine, and we were talking about his work, and I said something, and I didn't realize it wasn't a thing. I said, "Oh, they're playing in your face," and he didn't know what that meant. So we have a saying in the black community called "playing in your face," and he didn't know what it was, so he was trying to figure it out, and he asked me, is that like insulting your intelligence? I was like, kind of. It's two-faced, kind of, sort of. But playing in somebody's face is a little bit more than that, because it's there's a problem. I know there's a problem, and you're not only going to act to me as if there is no problem, but you expect me to act like there's no problem. That's playing in somebody's face. The person who's putting me through this and making me, like, confusing me, making me be like, wait a minute, what are we doing here? You just gonna act like you don't owe me money? Or you just gonna act like we didn't have this conversation the other day? Or you just gonna act like, whatever it is, whatever the problem is, playing in somebody's face is moving on without the other person know you've moved on, and expecting the other person to pretend like nothing ever happened. That would be considered playing in your face. What's going on, Eric? And that's what I feel like is happening to us right now with this federal government, because we had another incident where there's a breach of security around the president of the United States. And I don't think we're going to get an explanation. Now, this guy is alive, which is another thing, which is strange. Like, how is he alive? Why is he alive after what happened? So we're going to go over that today. And then we're going to talk about some other things that the FBI and Secret Services has done and failed at, and we're just supposed to, I guess, just go with it. I don't understand it, but we're going to start with this video, and we're going to learn about what happened the other day, because it's odd. And it's really not what happened that's odd. It's the explanations for it, and the moving on and playing in our face by saying, "Oh no, they did a great job. They did exactly what they're supposed to do." So let's start.
How the suspect connected to the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Investigators say the 31-year-old suspect is a highly educated engineer and part-time tutor with no criminal history.
And authorities right now are working to piece together a clearer picture of who this suspect is and what may have led up to this.
The suspect, Cole Allen, he's going to be arraigned in federal court today. He faces at least 2 charges that could include using firearms during a violent crime and assault on a federal officer with a dangerous weapon.
Now, by today, that was yesterday. I clipped this up yesterday, so not today. Yesterday.
Weapon. Now, according to police, Allen exchanged gunfire with law enforcement. Secret Service agent was hit in the bulletproof vest that he was wearing. Authorities say the alleged shooter had a so-called manifesto. Now, details around that show that manifesto said that he wanted to target Trump administration officials, quote, from highest ranking to lowest. So investigators are still digging into the background of this 31-year-old suspect. Allen has no prior criminal record. He was once, though, named Teacher of the Month at a test preparation academy. According to a LinkedIn profile matching his name and photograph, Allen graduated from the California Institute of Technology in 2017 with a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. He received a master's degree in computer science from Cal State University at Dominguez Hills. That was last year. Now, this is Allen's home right here in Southern California. FBI agents, they were seen here yesterday morning canvassing the neighborhood looking for ring cameras. Investigators do believe Allen left the LA suburb and then boarded a train to Chicago on Tuesday of last week, eventually checking into the Washington Hilton Hotel 3 days later. A next-door neighbor says Allen mostly kept to himself. We also have learned that Allen had recently done target practice. CNN obtained this photo of the weapons Allen allegedly had on him. In an apparent manifesto posted Saturday night, Allen allegedly apologized to his family, his friends, even people that he traveled next to. He said he would target administration officials and wrote that he did not expect to survive this incident. He also expressed surprise at security protocol at the hotel, but the Secret Service said that security protocol worked.
There's a report in the New York Post that this assailant assembled his weapon somewhere on site at the hotel. What do you think about that? And I ask respectfully, why do you think this keeps happening to you?
Well, you know, I've studied assassinations, and I must tell you, the most impactful people, the people that do the most, you take a look at the people, Abraham Lincoln, I mean, you go through the people that have gone through this, where they got them. But the people that do the most, the people that make the biggest impact, they're the ones that they go after. They don't go after the ones that don't do much because they like it that way. And when you look at the people that have either, whether it was an attempt or a successful attempt, they're very impactful people. Just take a look at the names there, the big names. And I hate to say I'm honored by that, but I've done a lot. We've done a lot. We've taken this country, and we were a laughingstock for years, and now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We've changed this country. And there are a lot of people that are not happy about that. So I think that's the answer, Peter.
As far as
I used to like that kind of rhetoric. I don't know what happened with my audio. It looks like it was a little behind. We're losing a war right now that was supposed to be over in 2 weeks, and we're now moving into the third month. We're not the hottest thing going on. We're not the most powerful. I mean, we are the most powerful, but we're being made to look weak because there's a small country on the other side of the world that's humbling us. But another mechanical engineer, another really smart guy, and I'm not doubting that he went crazy and did what he said he did. What always interests me in stuff like this is, one, a manifesto. That's strange to me because they all do it. He didn't expect to live, so maybe that's why he would write a manifesto. I'm not sure why he would do it the way he did, but again, I don't know. I don't know until there's more information that comes out. I don't have an opinion on that. I just don't believe it. And that's the problem when you have an administration like this that plays in your face and doesn't seem to understand that we want transparency and honesty. And my anger and frustration is growing daily because I keep waiting for this 4D or 3D chess move that Trump is playing, and it hasn't come. It's not going to come. I've come to that realization. But the supposed right keeps saying that this is like some kind of master plan, and it's just not happening. And my frustration is the people that are caping for Donald Trump, despite this kind of nonsense, and acting as if they did their job. What do you mean? What's the problem? Like we didn't just see what we've gone through since 2024, since before Trump was put in office in 2024, summer of 2024, around June or July, whatever. Somebody took a shot at him, and we're going to go over Thomas Crooks in a little bit after we cover what's going on today. The same right, people that I used to be side by side with in MAGA are telling me, and they're celebrating and telling me I'm supposed to celebrate these new red lines that Trump keeps drawing on Iran, the ceasefires that keep ending and starting and ending and starting. Like, what are we doing? He actually said last week, I think it was, that they're going to send in the best negotiators. Well, why didn't you send them first? What do we? It's a really strange world we're living in right now, where the guy that I not only supported and pushed, but before he was around was pushing the exact same values. We need transparency in our government. We need our politicians to do what we say. We need accountability. Everything we said we wanted, we're not getting now this go around. First administration, 45, I had no issues with it. I wish he could have gotten more done, but I knew what he was up against. Now he's part of that block. He's part of the things that are holding back, and I'm sitting there just waiting like, what are we doing? He finally told Israel to knock it off with bombing Lebanon. And what do? They create a new buffer zone so that they could still bomb in this part of Lebanon, but they won't cross the line that Trump gave. They're like a meth head. And they can't stop. And I don't know if they have control. They're just addicted. It's like they're addicted to slaughtering people. And I don't understand why we have to be a part of it. I don't understand why we have to accept it. I don't understand how you can say that's defending. I don't understand any of this. It's strange. I don't understand how people on the right are all of a sudden for this. We were just saying no new wars, no new, like literally chanting this at his rallies. And now he does this, and we're saying, well, it's not technically a new war. This has been going on forever. Okay, so we're okay with this, and we want to jump in on this. And it's the correlations of FBI incompetence and outright corruption and Secret Service failures, if you want to call them that. It's too much at this point. And you guys can decide what it is. You're going to hear my opinion as we go through this. And obviously you don't have to agree. I would actually love to hear your opinions on this, but it's just weird to me that we're okay with the president constantly being in danger and acting like, oh, these crazy leftists, which I don't know if he's a crazy leftist. He may be, he may not be. I don't care. I don't understand why we're not ready for this. How many times did this man have to be shot at or attempted to be shot at where the Secret Service is reacting to something like this? It doesn't make sense to me. Now, how's this not secure? There are several people, and I didn't get those videos, but you can look this up. There's several people saying there was hardly any security. They didn't even have to show their ticket. It's almost as if the Secret Service or somebody or some people want something to happen. And that's what we're going to explore today.
His motivation, we are still looking into that. It appears he was targeting members of the administration.
You mentioned him traveling by train, which not a lot of Americans do cross country these days. Does that raise questions about whether he was trying to avoid being tracked?
We don't know whether he had the firearms with him. It does appear that he purchased those firearms within the past couple of years. But that could be another reason why he traveled by train.
So today, the armed suspect who charged at Secret Service due in federal court as we learn more about his sinister plan targeting Trump officials after traveling across the country with his weapons in tow.
What have you learned about the shooter that you want our audience to understand?
Hey, thanks so much for having me on. First and foremost, I want to remind your audience of President Trump's leadership, literally courage under fire that evening at the press conference to announce to the world and be as transparent as possible. He's assembled the greatest law enforcement team that I've ever seen. And between myself and Mark Mullen and the interagency in the White House, we are prepared to tackle this investigation as we've done.
How do you feel about this tone? We're going to act like this is a triumph. What a great job by the president. I don't mind the narrative, but how do you feel about this? It bothers me because this should be taken way more serious. This should be taken way, way, way more seriously. To me, there should be anger, frustration, and the outwardly expressed need for accountability. Instead, man, the president's just such a great job. It's like a Hollywood production. Okay, whatever. You can celebrate your boss. I get it. We all get it, Cash. We all get it. We really do. But how do you feel about him celebrating an event almost getting shot up because you were able to stop it? The Secret Service was able to stop it. You're the investigator. Why do you have any kind of jovial or even anger? I could see frustration. I could see wanting accountability, but I don't understand all this, the rest of this, because this is outright propaganda at this point. That's what this is.
since it started. We immediately, for the FBI, dispatched evidence response teams, a mobile command center, stood up our NC3 National Crisis Coordination Center at headquarters, and flexed in our expert capabilities in technical analysis. We conducted interviews literally across the country in multiple jurisdictions in less than 24 hours after this tragic event, and also used FBI fixed-wing assets to transport evidence from across the country to Quantico so it can be analyzed quickly, because we believe in the necessity for speed and doing this properly, which is why we've done this investigation above board with our partners at DOJ, and which is also why just over 24 hours after this tragic incident, you'll be seeing myself and Attorney General Todd Blanche address the nation with actual details relating to this event.
So again, Kash Patel, listen, look me in the eyes. Look me in the eyes. How can you, with a straight face, call it tragic while celebrating like this? You're bragging. It sounds like a job interview. You have the job. This is like you have an employee who applied, you hired them, you're asking how their day's going, and like they're still trying to apply. What are you doing? This isn't the interview anymore. You actually have the job. Do it. Tell us after the fact. After you've done everything you need to do, tell us then. But calling it a tragic incident. What's going on, Dennis, Paco? Calling it a tragic incident while celebrating and bragging, it gives mixed messages, almost as if, again, I'm not a conspiracy guy. I will subscribe to some of them if they make sense. But if you're going to sit here and say this tragic incident and then run down your resume of everything that you've done, it's really, really, really insulting to people like me who are watching, who are angry. We want transparency, and you're saying, okay, my idea of transparency is telling you everything that we've done over these last few days, but we're not going to give you any real details. We're just going to tell you what we're doing. I don't care what you're doing. I want to know what you did after the fact. I don't want to hear this. And it's extremely frustrating because I expected transparency from the get-go. And what they seem to think transparency is a rundown, but not actually addressing the problem. And I have a problem with that.
Go into the profile of this person. I know you can't talk about the investigation, but was he on the Fed's radar before? Did y'all see the postings that he was making, that he was trying to come to the hotel? And is it true that there was an alert put out with a description of him, but he wasn't detected in the hotel?
And I received.
Now listen to the question, and then I want you guys to listen to the answer. Because Lawrence actually asks a very good, reasonable question. It's the first thing that comes to mind for everybody after something like this happens if the person is caught.
Details relating to this event.
Can you go into the profile of this person? I know you can't talk about the investigation, but was he on the Fed's radar before? Did y'all see the postings that he was making, that he was trying to come to the hotel? And is it true that there was an alert put out with a description of him, but he wasn't detected in the hotel?
And I received.
And before he answers, the reason Lawrence is asking that question is because we just went through this with Thomas Crooks. We just went through this. And the FBI had a part in the Charlie Kirk investigation. We just went through all of this. So the question is, did you guys learn anything from last time? Or are you just reacting next time in case last time happened? That's not how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to put in guardrails to stop stuff from happening again. It's not about reacting and how quickly you react in 33 hours. And this time it's 36 hours. Like, we don't want to hear that. We want to know how it's happening again and again and again.
Full briefing yesterday morning from our BAU unit. What that does is not necessarily provide direct evidence to be utilized in court, but it examines what we have collected so far, to include emails, social media postings, witness interviews, interviews with people, family, friends, and neighbors, so we can provide a complete picture of this individual's mindset and intent when we make the presentment in court.
Lawrence asked you, did you know who this guy was beforehand? And because he said the word profile, Kash Patel is sitting there talking about profiling. He can't. How do you have this position? How are you an adult and you can't comprehend a basic question, a sentence that a man said? Just because you heard profile, you're now talking about the criminal minds in the BAU. He didn't mean that kind of profile. He meant, did you already have a profile that lets you know who this guy is before he did what he did? And instead, he's answering to about profiling the guy after the fact and how we're going to present it in court. Reactionary. This is horrible. Maybe he tries to deflect. I don't know. And that's why he talks about something different. Oh, you guys can't see this. Sorry. Dennis asked, maybe he tries to deflect, and that's why he talks about something different. Maybe, but what that does is it annoys people because you're deflecting. You're not answering the question that was asked, and you're doing it in front of the world. And again, transparency is key. The problem that the Trump administration is having now, and why MAGA has just crumbled. It's crumbled, completely crumbled. It's lost a lot of people like me because you're not being transparent. That's what you ran on. And I don't understand what we're doing. It's really, really, really weird. How you doing, Deanna? What's up, Slim? Blue Oxygen, what's going on? Why can't you just answer his question and say, you know what? Yes, we had foreknowledge of this person. We had our eye on him, which is why we were prepared, or something along those lines. But did you know he was upstairs, like directly over the ballroom? Could he have done something in his room that could have unalived some of the most important people in the world? President and the vice president was there. And what's his name? Oh, I can't think of his name right now. Oh, I can't think of his name. But three of the most important people in the world were in that ballroom. This guy's room was above the ballroom. He could have done anything. He could have blew it up. Were you prepared for that? If so, why did you let him rent a room above? Like, I don't understand this. He's not answering the question because he doesn't understand the question. And that drives me crazy.
And that's what we're going through right now and in the process of finalizing. And shortly we'll see that presentment in court.
So is any of that true that he mentioned? Is any of that?
Yeah, because, Cass, you're talking about the behavior analysis. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying, was there a profile put out? Was he known? Was there chatter about him before it? I'm not his mind doing the act before it.
Yeah, all those.
He shouldn't have to double down on that question and follow up. That's not a question that needs to be followed up on. Because it was a very straightforward question. Cash can't grasp it. He doesn't understand it. And I don't understand why he doesn't understand.
Those questions will be answered in the complaint, the criminal complaint that's being presented. I just can't get ahead of my partners at the Department of Justice, and especially can't get ahead of the federal magistrate that it's being presented to. But we have answered all those questions, and that's what we've been working towards. America deserves answers. President Trump has committed to transparency and accountability, and what we are doing with the team that the president has assembled is answering those questions in record speed, but also divulging them to the public at the appropriate time without jeopardizing the integrity of the investigation. And this incident happened on late Saturday night, and it's Monday morning, and we're about to go to court. That's a pretty quick turnaround, if not maybe the fastest for something of this magnitude.
Mr. Director.
See, he wants credit. So it says you're making assumptions that he doesn't understand the question. It sounds like he's avoiding the question. That's worse. I would rather he not understand the question and need the follow-up by Lawrence than him purposely deceiving me. I mean, both of them are, one's incompetence, but one of them is a willing act of deceit. I don't like it. I really don't. So one, either you're too dumb to understand the question, or two, you're refusing to answer the question. How about you just answer the question? That's how I look at this kind of thing.
Director, Lone Wolf, what evidence do you have to believe, based on his background, and support this idea? Also, the long gun and the shell casings from the scene. Any update on the origin of the weapon, and how is this going to change security going forward?
Yeah, so look, the weapons were, the FBI immediately took control of the scene after it was safeguarded by our Secret Service and law enforcement personnel. The weapons were transported along with the shell casings and ballistics back to Quantico Laboratories for analysis, and that information will be included again in the criminal complaint that's coming. And so what we are going to do is continue to look at the interviews that we've conducted, the dozens and dozens of interviews we've conducted over the weekend, and put that in one place to show you what he did, how he got there, when he got there, when he arrived, how he got down to the area in question, how he was able to get through security undetected. We have all those questions answered, and that's why I wanted to present with the Attorney General at the press conference later today, once the magistrate is certified or signed off on the criminal complaint.
So, Cash.
He absolutely can answer the question. He doesn't want to answer the question. And this is what they always do. This is what they always do. You're telling me he couldn't say we did have foreknowledge and we'll give details in our criminal complaint? No, he didn't do that. He said, I can't answer that question. I don't want to get ahead. Get ahead of what? Get ahead of what? The criminal complaint, it's being written or filed already. This is what he does. And I'm going to show you why what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I totally get it. But I'm going to show you why it's not true. Because after this, I'm going to go over Charlie Kirk and I'm going to go over Thomas Crooks. because those two things are going to prove that this is just what he does. He does not answer questions, and he hides behind trials, some that don't even exist. So I'll show you why I'm as cynical as I am when it comes to this guy.
What can we expect at the hearing today?
I think you're going to hear great detail. All the questions you are asking, you should be asking them, and we should be answering them. And the great thing about President Trump's commitment to law enforcement is that he is requiring us to answer them truthfully and honestly after a full investigation, and that's exactly what we have done. And that's why the American people can have confidence in the manner in which we've done this methodical investigation. I mean, just remind everyone, this was almost the entirety of the president's cabinet, the president and vice president himself, and 2,000 members of the media. This is something the movies don't even write about, something like this kind of scenario, this kind of tragedy. And thankfully, the quick reaction of law enforcement, we're going to be able to present to the world in less than 36 hours almost, exactly what happened, this individual's entire background, who he knew, where he lived, who he was talking to, everything about the firearms, everything about the ballistics. And as you saw, our evidence response teams were on scene so fast. That is the reason we are going to be able to present to you this material. I was bouncing around headquarters yesterday, the Washington field office, the White House. The men and women of the FBI have not slept all weekend. The DOJ hasn't slept all weekend. The interagency hasn't slept all weekend. It's because America wants answers.
Mr. Director,
and we're going to give them to you because President Trump required that.
They did a great job on the ground, but they remain reactive. The proactive approach is still under great scrutiny. The President of the United States is averaging an assassination attempt once a year. And there's still protocols that still... So who's going to do the investigating of the procedures? Secret Service can't investigate themselves because there's still people in leadership at the Secret Service that were responsible for Butler. How does that happen? It was a failure.
And finally, somebody on Fox News is showing some frustration because they've just been complete shills for whatever the administration wants, whatever narrative they want. You're talking about your reactions. There's nothing about why we didn't prevent this, because this is all preventable stuff. If they knew about this guy who had an online, a digital print, same thing as Thomas Crook. I'm gonna show you that. Thomas Crooks. They have an online digital footprint. They hire people and they monitor this stuff. They're supposed to be able to know where these people are because these are a direct threat. This man got on a train, traveled all the way to Chicago, then traveled to DC with apparently 2 firearms and a machete or a knife. And you didn't know that not only did he bring this stuff, but he checked into the hotel where you were going to have all of these people that you just mentioned, all these extremely important people in government and media. You let him sleep above the room that they're all going to be in the next day. And instead of saying, man, this is bad, you're celebrating it. Within 36 hours, we know everything. You guys, am I the only one who's really, really, really annoyed at this? He could have blew up all of the people he just talked about how important they were in government and media. Nobody did anything. Say we did know he had the 2 firearms and the knife. Why not go up to the room and as soon as he walks out, arrest him? So what this tells me is that they didn't know, and it's all reactionary, but they want credit for finding out all this information after the fact. But it could have been too late because he could have blew this all up as soon as the president arrived, Vance arrived, and all these people arrived. As soon as the event started, he could have detonated. Why is this not more like, I don't understand. He wants this credit, and there's an ego problem here. And it's like he doesn't understand how serious this is. I talked about this on my last live. There was a person who was supposedly a sign language person, and they somehow got on stage with Obama. And I didn't like Obama, but that doesn't mean I want to see something happen to him. This guy was a criminal, was doing fake sign language, and somehow got on stage with the president of the United States. That is a failure that can never happen. And here we are, this Kash Patel wants credit for getting all the information after this guy could have ended all of these people's lives. With a straight face. Well, partially straight face.
Right. I can't speak to Butler, and I agree it was a total failure. Absolutely. But I have full confidence in Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen. He oversees.
So the reason he says he can't speak to it because he wasn't he wasn't in the FBI when Butler happened. But that was one of the things he ran on. Well, he didn't run out. That's one of the things he was talking about. Him and Bongino were really, really talking about a lot. Was when President Trump gets in, he needs to find out what happened in Butler. We still don't know what happened. And you're the FBI. You're the head of the FBI now. What do you mean you can't speak to it? It's been a year. You've been in the same job. You haven't looked into it yet? What? It's not on your to-do list? What's up, Fats? This idiot is saying, I can't speak to Butler. You are the head of all investigations in this country. And you still can't speak to it a year later.
The United States Secret Service. I've talked to him repeatedly over the weekend, and I've spoken with him and said, whatever you need from the FBI, whatever we can assist in, and however we can better prepare to protect our protectees going forward with the United States Secret Service, this FBI stands ready. Going forward, we're going to improve that process under Mark Wayne's leadership and oversight of the Secret Service.
Mr. Director, what about the mags? There was only one mag that people had to walk through. That's the one we saw where he's running through. Any chance going forward we can put another one outside, maybe two of them outside, sweep the entire hotel if we're in this situation again?
So stupid.
Look, that's a great question, and I think we are going to do it entirely differently. You heard the president say on Saturday night that we're going to do this again in short order, maybe in 30 days or so, and we're going to be ready for that. The security posture, I imagine, is going to be completely different. I'll be working with the White House, with the Department of Homeland Security, the Secret Service, the Metropolitan Police Department. The FBI will be fully resourced for that event to assist in the security, and we will provide our input. That's the great thing about having this law enforcement team. I can call Mark Wayne and the White House and the interagency and say, hey, we got to do a couple of things differently, and we're already talking about it, and that's the good thing.
How many assassinations have to happen before you are proactive? You go into an airport, you can't just run past security. There's a choke point, and there are several people. You have to go through this corridor to get to everyone else. At an event that had the president, the vice president, several members of Congress, all of the media, at this event, you didn't do anything. How is that possible? And now you're saying, yeah, next time, my bad. Like every leader, when it comes to national security, should be fired. Replace them all. You can't be this bad at your job. And then to celebrate it, 36 hours, we got all this information. Oh man, this is amazing. What's going on, Sue Hamblin? This is absurd. It's insulting. Playing in our face. If you guys weren't here when we started this live, I explained what playing in somebody's face is. That's what they're doing. They know there's a problem, you know there's a problem, but they're pretending like there's not a problem, and then they're expecting you to pretend like there's not a problem. And smile. And I'm right wing. I used to be MAGA. But clearly they're not as far right as I am because they're accepting this. And they're yelling out like Team America, yeah. Like, dude, we almost lost everyone that's leading this country. And this guy wants credit.
And we're going to be better postured for the next event.
So Jason Pack in the Wall Street Journal today, former FBI agent, offered this. They said that the Secret Service built a perimeter to stop an army, but they were beat by a room key. Because the guy checked in the day before, and he wasn't shouldn't have been part of the whole event. What do you say to that?
Yeah, what do you say to that?
Again, it's one of those details that we will provide to you extensively in relation to where he was staying, what was found inside where he was staying, and any other materials that were collected, to include laptops and cell phones. But this was a matter that needs to be heavily scrutinized because it almost took the lives of dozens, if not hundreds of people, but for the quick reaction of our law enforcement. And we're going to be talking about how we improve the security, not just for this event, but for all events going forward. We're going to learn from this one, and we're going to utilize President Trump's leadership and backing of the Blue and law enforcement and work with DHS to ensure our cabinet, our protectees, and the American civilian population.
Why going forward? Why, President was shot in the ear in Butler. He was almost shot at a golf course that he golfs at all the time. Charlie Kirk was assassinated in front of the world, in front of everyone. We're watching this as if it's the first time something happened. Like this is the event of a century, or at least of our lives. It's not, because apparently, according to Ted Cruz, when he was talking to Tucker Carlson, there's been several attacks, or attempts on the president's life by Iran. Okay, so what are we doing to stop this? What are we doing to stop this? Going forward, we're gonna what? We're gonna put up some more fencing. Like, this is reacting to a problem. It is not solving a problem. And maybe because in my business, you have to be extremely efficient, and you have to be proactive. You can't just wait until you run out of product. You should have a plan for not only having extra product, but you should have a plan for if it ever somehow runs out. And you should have a plan for, depending on the time of the year, what you need more of. This is called being proactive, and you can't operate when you're only reacting. He just asked him, hey, somebody said we were beaten by a room key, and the guy stayed upstairs. Yeah, oh yeah. We got all the details. We got the computer. We know what was in the room. Okay, how did he get in the room? What kind of mindset do you have to think like this? Because the lowest level employee, and I'm not disrespecting the lowest level employee, I'm just saying from a knowledge perspective, entry level, we'll say that. I don't want to disparage anybody, but an entry level employee should have a basic understanding of, okay, I need to show up for work. I need to clock in on time. I need to be ready to work. I need to work as hard as I can. And then I need to leave and be prepared for tomorrow. If you can't do that, you shouldn't be working anywhere. And it seems like he can't do that. In his mind, I need to show up to work, find out what's going on, fix all these problems, go home and live to see another day. That's not how this works. You cannot operate, especially at such a, the government has, I want to say this, it's an absurd number of employees. I don't want to just make up a number, but I'll say over 10% of all employees are federal employees. And if that's the case, I could be wrong. If that's the case, you have millions of people in government. If they're all acting like this because he wants to be celebrated, if they're all acting like this, we're in real trouble because they're all reacting. Nobody has common sense. Nobody's thinking at all. It doesn't take much. They're looking at an email and reacting to it. Instead of trying to figure out, why did this person email me? Oh, crap, I should have did this first. I don't want this email. That's not how they look at it. That's not how anyone in the government looks at things. They react. And then they get mad when a program gets canceled. USAID, when USAID was spending, I don't know, I forget the numbers, like $30 billion over what and unreported. Instead of saying, holy crap, how did this happen? They got mad because the programs were shut off. Oh, what are we going to do? All these people are relying on it. That's reacting to a problem. That's not solving anything. Absolutely, he cannot chew gum and walk at the same time. He can't. He's not capable. And I learned this at an early age with government bureaucracy when my mother was on welfare, and she was sick, and she would have to keep. I've told the story, but she would have to keep reapplying to prove that she couldn't work, but she had a progressive illness. It doesn't get better. I shouldn't have to go in there and explain what progressive means. It doesn't get better. So if she couldn't work last month, she can't work this month. But I would see young people in there with several kids and Jordans, and they're just getting welfare. And it's like, that's not who this is for. The government bureaucracy, they don't teach any kind of independent thinking skills. It's all reactionary, and this is bad. This is really bad because it's going to end in us losing a leader, and that hasn't happened since JFK. When it comes to government leaders, we can't have this. This is unacceptable. It really is.
As best protected as possible.
This is Kash Patel, and this is why I have a problem with him, because if he were focusing, what's the date on that? April 20th. If he were focusing on security, he wouldn't be worried about suing newspapers and publications for $250 million because they hurt his feelings. They defamed me. FBI Kash Patel sues Atlantic for defamation. Patel is seeking $250 million in damage, alleging an article from last week was malicious and inaccurate. So because he thinks it was inaccurate, that's his focus. So back to this point, can't chew gum and walk at the same time. Maybe you can't. Maybe you should focus on, Oh, securing, investigating, stopping stuff from happening. But you're worried about your honeypot girlfriend and suing, because she's suing everybody and you're suing everybody. You're the FBI head. Dude, you investigate everything that's federal in this country, and you're suing a leftist rag because they hurt your feelings? This is what we're dealing with now. Does this make any sense to anybody? Am I the only one who's crazy? Because this image came out. This image came out. And it's a shooter, Cole Allen, seen here in an Instagram post of his wearing an IDF sweatshirt before his profile was removed. You know what the IDF is? It's the Israeli Defense Forces. Now, I don't know if that's real. I really don't. It could be. It could be. Did you know about this, Cash Patel, while you were filing lawsuits? Did you know about this? Does he have foreign ties, Cash Patel? Because I remember when Joe Kent was trying to investigate foreign ties in another massive assassination, actually, you stopped them from looking into that. Why? Oh, because they were looking into this group. The same group that's got us in wars right now, that we're trying to stop, and they keep breaking ceasefire deals. And now there's hey, listen, this could be a coincidence. This could be 100% fake. But he's wearing an IDF sweater. He's a highly, highly intelligent dude. Mechanical engineer, Caltech, the Caltech. Like, you really, really, really have to know your stuff when you're going to a school like that, especially for engineering. Not anybody can get into there. So the footage, this is so insane. This is so insane. This is why Donald Trump is your president, listening to morons like this. I voted for him. But welcome. I appreciate the view. Crying losers, I appreciate it. I appreciate that. He said, let me remind you, 70 million votes, all swing states, hello, popular vote, hello, 80% approval rating, hello, keep on crying losers. Hey, Patrick, do me a favor, and you don't have to do anything. Go through my videos, and you're going to find out something that may shock you, because almost all of them are supporting Donald Trump. All of them up until when he started talking about Epstein not being a big deal. And then you're going to see a shift. But that doesn't make me a Democrat. Democrats, wake up, your party is done. I'm not a Democrat. Just scroll through. There's about 500 videos, and about 480 or 490 of them are all supporting Donald Trump. Not this one. But I do appreciate the view. And you can keep watching on, man. Listen. Maybe you'll learn something. Oh, man. That's hilarious. But I want to show you guys something really, really funny that I found. You may not find this funny. On X. Share screen. Hold on. If you're going to insult somebody, you call them losers. It's you are. So it's your, Y-O-U, with an apostrophe, R-E. Wrong one, dude. Wrong one. Trust me, wrong one. You don't know me. But hey, you can come back anytime. I do appreciate it, but insults won't work on me. You're a losser. So I found this really interesting. Let's see. What up, Toby? I found this really, really, really interesting. Move this down. Loser. He called me a loser again. Too many S's. Too many S's, man. Loser. Only has one S. Lost hire. All right, so I found this really fascinating because, and I don't care about who posts stuff. If it makes sense, it makes sense to me. So when I see this video, it's funny. Camera used for national security. $100 Ring camera. Why? Is this happening in this country right now? Right now. How many? We're $40 trillion in debt. How is it that, okay, you could say, oh, well, that's the hotel security. Okay, so then when we come in with the President of the United States, why aren't we prepared with, oh, I don't know, just some $100 cameras that can see like this Ring camera can see? Because that's what we just watched. This is a Ring camera. I found that funny. Because the post says, why does my Ring camera have IMAX footage of a raccoon demolishing last night's pizza out of my trash, but a White House event looks like it was filmed on a cracked flip phone from 2007? This is true. This is true. I don't understand this. I genuinely don't understand this. So at this event, we couldn't bring cameras? This guy slowed the video down. Again, fascinating stuff. Because you can't hardly see anything. He just runs through. There's no choke point. Oh, sorry. There's no choke point. There's just a bunch of guys standing around just waiting. Just waiting. Let's see. Hopefully nothing happens today, guys. What you got going on? Oh, I don't know. Gonna go eat some food after this event. Maybe they'll have some leftovers. I asked somebody to sneak me a sandwich. It's black and white, Slim. It's black and white. What are we doing here? The federal government knows they're going to do this event. They do it every single year. You're telling me we can't bring cameras? This is the footage. This guy, can you identify him? Can anybody identify him? Now this is the best shot right here. Oh man, look at his face. He looks really upset right there, doesn't he? What are we doing? This is the United States of America. This is the United States of America. James, it is harder to get in Six Flags than this guy got into an event with everyone in it. How is this possible? Can you just walk into Six Flags? No. Now in Chicago on the train, you can hop in, but you can still get caught. This is the footage we have. That's it. So, God forbid, if he actually was successful at anything, this is what we would be relying on after the fact, because all we do is react. I don't like this. I really don't like this. Can we even see if they're discharging their weapon? Can we see anything? Can you see anything of value here? Is there anything of value here? This is in Will. I can see bees flying around in front of my house. That's how I know. I gotta call our insect guy. What do you call him? I gotta call Donald. I gotta call Donald. We got bees flying around the front. They set off my camera. This guy. This is PBS News. This says PBS News. If this doesn't infuriate you, nothing will when it comes to government. This is so ridiculous. And then this guy said, I've slowed down the video so you can see the Secret Service discharge your... Really? But to his point, if this individual ran a Marine or tried to run a Marine checkpoint with a shotgun with just 2 Marines stationed there, he would have been Swiss cheese. This guy ran through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There had to be somebody out down the hallway. How is this possible? Can somebody tell me how this is possible? And why is nobody mad at this? This is the worst representation of our country I've ever seen when it comes to national security. Now, there's people who are questioning why Vance was, okay, so I'm going to be fair to the Secret Service. I see nothing. No sound. I see nothing wrong with this. They're saying, oh, well, Trump should have been taken off first. Okay, they have different Secret Service. So they're 2 completely different details. Because Vance's detail was more alert or knew something that the other, I don't have an issue with this. I don't. Because Trump's details over there trying to figure out what's going on, they should have got him out. But I understand. I don't hold this against them. I just don't. This is I bookmarked all these. So let me see.
4, got it. No. Scooch over, slightly right, silver foil, top of the stairs. Got it.
I was getting arrested. There's really, we don't gain anything from here. They did their jobs after the fact, and that's my issue. This is them during, while it was actually going down.
Where's it coming from? Over there. Where's it coming from? What's your crossfire? Look out!
Bro, somebody go.
We got 1 down.
What the?
Oh my God. Stay down, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, stay down.
So I have no issue with any of this response. There were people complaining about, well, how did they not know where he was? Were they not communicating? In chaos, I don't have an issue. I really don't have an issue with their response. I have a problem that we had to respond. I have a problem that we weren't proactive, that it came down to this. That's what I have a problem with. And whatever. It is what it is. But something else happened here. Actually, let's go here. This to me was probably the most fascinating thing that happened the whole night. So yes, he got through. He did what he had to do. This was actually released by Benny Johnson. It was pretty big on the right. Pretty sizable audience. I don't know, credibility. This would have probably ended it. This was an armed attack by a Democrat with the intention of killing the elected president with a deadly weapon. This attack is worse than every single thing that happened on January 6th, 2021 combined. The media will never tell you this, but it's true. And then right here, it says CapCut AI. So Benny Johnson, who, I like Benny Johnson. I don't have an issue with him. I just think on stuff like this, you wait. It can be rewarding with views if you're the first to do stuff. January 6th was not worse. Come on, Scraggly, come on. Stop. Let's not do that. But right here, you see CapCut AI. So Benny should have been like, what is this? Right? So we're gonna watch. Can I slow this down? I think I can slow this down. Yes, I can slow this down. Let's go half speed. So there's a guy down here. It looks like he's holding a sign. That is our shooter. Let me get rid of the sound. This is our shooter. I want you to watch the sign. Where'd it go? It disappeared. Now it looks like he's got a hammer, and now the hammer's gone. I guess there's supposed to be a gun, but there's nothing in his hands. Everyone's looking, oh my God, run, run. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 men he just ran past. 9. Now, again, CapCut AI. For some reason, Benny didn't notice that. He didn't see that little sign disappear out of his hands. So somebody clearly tried to enhance the video. And again, I don't have a problem with that after the fact. Look, there's a sign again, but now it's on an agent. But this is the reaction. This is clearly AI. It could not be clearer. Could not be clearer. But if you want to get ahead of stories, I get it. Look, that guy, you just see his legs now. His whole body disappeared. Why are we posting this as if this were official? And they're doing this to try and make law enforcement look good. Oh, there he's back again. He's got a sign again. Is that the shooter again? We're not at the end of this footage yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There was a 7th guy here. To me, this is so outrageous that this was shared. And when I say shared, oh my gosh, everybody was playing this. Hey, look, the sign's back on. Now he's on the officer's head. Hey, look, 2 more officers are coming in. The door, I don't know what happened with the doors, just evaporated. 3 more officers. This is so unbelievable. This was passed off. Now you have all these people. Now they're, again, reacting. My contention is they should have known this man was in the building. In the middle of the night, either bursted in, or they could have just had a key card. Or just waited till he came out and arrest him. No shots fired, nothing. Like, when something is avoidable, this is what we're looking at. We're looking at something that was avoidable turning into all-out chaos. All-out chaos. How does this happen? Should have never got to this. Why is he wearing a mask? It's 2026. It's 2026. I would have fired this security guard or whoever he is, whatever organization this guy's from. You're fired. Go, go, go. You're wearing a mask. It's 2026. You don't know now that masks don't mean anything outside of surgery? What are you doing? Yeah, you would never secure anything around me. There's no way. There's no way. Wearing a mask. I find this to be fascinating that Benny Johnson posted this and then had the nerve to say, but it's true. I rated this as helpful because it's clearly AI. Clearly AI. So he had to come back. What time? Does it have the time? Oh, it doesn't. It just has the date. Oh, 1:13 p.m. He came back. Doesn't have the time on this one. At 6:51. It took this man 5 hours to say, oh, crap, I was wrong. This guy admitted that he enhanced it. So he said, note, this version has been enhanced with AI because the original was low quality. Okay. 1, why was it low quality? And 2, why did you share this and it take you 5 hours, almost 6 hours, to say, oh, crap, I posted AI? This is horrible journalism. And it's somebody who really genuinely wants to just get clicks. And he's not in the same, I won't put him with the Ben Shapiro's of the world and the Mark Levins, but dude, you got to do better than this. This was horrible, a horrible look. Anyway, let's go back because I want to show you what's happening right now on the right. And these are people who I stood next to. Bad acting at this point. Exactly.
I mean, if you want a good example of a man, Lindsey Graham. There's a guy right there. He's not even.
This is actually I'll put I put his information in my description. I put it after this video and I put it the actual video on here. So after this video, I put his information. I put the actual video in my description. This is hilarious. I don't play it all. I play about half of it. But just listen, because this is what's happening in MAGA right now. You have people who are acting just like this, and I don't understand it.
Gay at all.
Yeah, that's great. What do you think of the Biden administration funding Ukraine?
Hated it. We should have been keeping that money in America.
What do you think about the Trump admin funding Israel?
Love it. I think as American Christians, we should also be Jewish.
What do you think about the FBI's narrative that JFK was killed by a lone gunman?
Not likely. You can't trust those guys.
What do you think about the FBI's narrative that Charlie Kirk was killed by a lone gunman?
Well, that's what happened. You heard the FBI's report. They make me so mad. Can you believe all these idiot grifter conservatives out there betraying Trump? The woke Reich. That's what I call them. It's a pretty clever name.
You agree?
This is this guy here. There was a guy in the chat earlier. Where is he at? Oh, well, there was somebody who was complaining, telling me to cope earlier in the chat. This is him. This video is him. It's all him. Where are you? Where are you? Let's see. Where are you? Where are you? Not the Losser guy. There was another one. There was another one saying, telling me to cope. This is him. This is him defending Trump over everything.
With everything Trump's doing?
Yeah, 100%. That's what my critical thinking leads me to believe. 100% agreement with everything Trump says.
Even when he changes his mind or betrays a campaign promise?
He's never done any of that. But you know who has changed? The woke right. Fucking roasted him again. The Tucker Carlsons, Alex Joneses, people on Twitter. These people supported Trump for years. Then all of a sudden they betray the guy. Like, what is up with that?
So as a Trump loyalist, you don't even think it's been you and Trump that's changed?
No, I haven't changed my stance on anything. I've stayed true to my values. Unlike these crazy nut jobs.
Right. What do you think about Trump's campaign promise of no new wars?
Loved it.
And what do you think about being in a new war with Iran?
Love it.
Do you know you're contradicting yourself?
No, I'm not. Trump promised no new wars. Wars, plural. We're in a new war, singular. He didn't start new wars. He started one new war. Idiot. Like, Trump didn't break any campaign promises.
You gotta be kidding me. Do you think it's okay that Trump just wants to move on from the Epstein files and not prosecute anyone?
Yeah, that's what's best for our country.
Have you always thought that?
Yeah.
All right. What about when you wrote, #1 priority is to arrest the Epstein criminals? Trump will do that. Kamala won't.
I don't think I ever wrote that.
It's on your Twitter.
I might have wrote that, but you're taking that out of context.
That's your whole tweet. It's the entire context.
No. Like the context of the moment, like in different times, different words have different meanings. Words change with the times. It's evolution. Like, get with it. And you know, those traitors like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie, they're just trying to push this stuff because they want to backstab Trump. That's what they're doing.
So you don't like them?
Not at all. They're despicable people.
That's almost half of it. Definitely worth checking out. You gotta watch that video because it's phenomenal, and it actually gets funnier. It gets better because he just keeps going with so many contradictions. And on the right, we're supposed to be different than these leftist people. We're supposed to be different. We shouldn't. First of all, there shouldn't be a Trump loyalist. I don't even know what that means. You're supposed to be loyal to your ideas, and you're supposed to be loyal to your values and what you wanted when he came in office. And if he doesn't do that, I explained this on my last live, fire him. And since we can't fire him, we have to be the voice of reason. We can't just sit here and defend everything. It's insane. Viking, he's hilarious. He's hilarious. But the entire right used to laugh at JP Sears. Now they're mad at him because he's a critical. You don't even have to be a critical thinker. You just have to have eyes to see something's wrong. In case you didn't know, yeah, I know. This guy is a Trump supporter, but he's trolling Trump. He's not. He's no longer a Trump supporter. He's like me. Even though I never liked the term Trump supporter. He supported what I believe. But we've woken up and said, okay, if he was still doing what he was supposed to do, I would still be riding for the dude. I'm telling you, I have 500 videos. Almost all of them are in support of the ideas that Trump said he was running on. And this is not a joke. I'm like dead serious. Definitely worth checking out. Again, he's in my description. That video is in my description. Here's what's going on, because there's something really interesting that happened right after this event. Let's play this. This to me, I don't understand. He's a losser. This was concerning because when I'm looking, I'm like, whoa, what is this? Andrew Kovac, all these are all prominent, not all, but mostly all prominent people on the right, conservatives, Republicans, whatever you want to call them. This is why President Trump needs to build the White House ballroom. This is why we need Trump's ballroom. Thank God President's building the ballroom. And I'm like, oh, what are they doing here? Cernovich, Democrat judges who stopped, it's blocked out here, of a ballroom did so to enable assassination of Trump. Like, what is this? Tom Fitton? Like, these are people that I'm like, I follow all of these people. Tonight's one more reason why we need a new ballroom. And I'm like, this is a weird narrative. And if you don't think this is a psyop of some kind, I don't know what you think. Because all these people are talking about a ballroom. This is minutes after that happened. How does that happen? Now you know why the left is suing to block Trump's privately funded ballroom. We need a ballroom. When I saw this, I'm like, you have got... So I saw it in my feed. I saw this happening, but I didn't realize all the top people were saying it. Because on X, you can be saying, you could see a bunch of stuff, but it's not really what everyone else is seeing. Because it's all... There's a lot of bot accounts, there's smaller accounts. But when I saw all of these, I'm like, wait a minute, what is going on? This is strange, like really strange. Because these are top people saying this. And it's really, really, really disturbing, to say the least. Don't want to hear anyone effing criticism or no more criticism of the new ballroom. This is Meghan McCain. Like, if you're on the same side as Meghan McCain, you're probably on the wrong side. Same thing with Laura Loomer. If you're agreeing with them, not just on one thing, but if you find yourself agreeing with them more and more, you're on the wrong side of history. I guarantee it. Buzz Patterson, Sean Farage, he used to do a really good impression of Trump. Now all he does is cry about people like me who don't blindly follow, or Trump loyalists. Would be real nice if the White House had its own ballroom. I'm like, I couldn't believe that these are larger accounts doing this. Tara Bull, I'm telling you, I follow well, I never follow Randy Fine. He's a scumbag. Now you know why they don't want Trump to build a ballroom. How is their takeaway? How is their takeaway to complain about a ballroom when our top government officials were almost unalived, or could have been, very easily could have been? It's fascinating to me. They're all talking about a ballroom. Now, you could say, well, maybe it was a joke or it was a troll. Like, we used to do the memes and all that stuff, especially when we would make liberals mad. Just certain memes that you could do to really make them mad. You could do stuff like this, and that drove them crazy back in the day. Doesn't matter what color you are, you're racist, you're a white supremacist. But now, that's not what that was. And more disturbing to me, because that ballroom thing was like, I don't understand that, but okay. That's an interesting idea. Very, very, very interesting idea. Just the name, I didn't even think about the name. I didn't think about the name. But this really, this is interesting to me. Jack Posobiec said it was staged to get a ballroom. So he's mocking the idea when people started saying, well, they're just doing this to make a ballroom. So I said, let me retry. I said, it's really strange that you'd help push a mass narrative just to mock it the next morning, because he's one of the people. This is Jack. Jack, this is you. The morning before, or the night before, the very next morning, he's mocking people as conspiracy theorists, because that's what this means, for having the nerve to say, oh, it's about a ballroom. You pushed this narrative. This is insane that he's one of the people who was doing this. And when I saw it, I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, he has to be joking, because I don't understand. He never responded to this. It's really strange. You would push this mass narrative just to mock it the next morning. That's a psyop. What that is they're creating a narrative, feeding who they think are conspiracy theorists and idiots, people like me. You're feeding people like me this thing, so I can say, "Oh, I wonder if that's what it is." And then when I say, "I wonder if that's what it is," you mock me for it, and you came up with it. That's wild. It seems coordinated. There's the understatement comment of the day. Like, wait a minute, dude. That's you. The same dude. You posted that. I didn't post that. You posted that. And then you mock it the next day? That's your idea. It's really, really weird. It's really weird. I don't know what that means. I'm not going to put that up. But yeah, so I found that really, really interesting. The other thing that's weird is this Erica Kirk thing. Now, I'm not going to disparage this woman, but all of these posts somehow made what that guy did about Erica Kirk, and I can't wrap my mind around how obsessed these people are with her. So everyone who's mocking Erica for the safety threat she experienced, stating it's safe enough for the VP and not her. This is regarding an event that happened in Georgia. Here she is at an event with the President of the United States where the gunman still somehow opened fire. I'm not even going to go down that road to explain all that. Can everyone just leave this woman alone already? She's already been through enough. If you say you're a Christian, if you say you're a decent human being, if you say you've got a shred of empathy, just leave her alone. Pray for Erica Kirk because she was there. This is all so fascinating to me. If your initial reaction is this kind of garbage instead of sympathy for Erica Kirk, then you're a sick human. Probably all the person said is you're probably better off if you're at home with your kids. This makes me inexpressibly more angry tonight. They made this whole thing about Erica Kirk, which tells me something about her. Do not post clips of Erica Kirk in the throes of PTSD leaving the venue. For F's sake, have some human decency and common sense. Look at all these simps. This is a bunch of feminists and simps. Erica Kirk, who watched her husband assassinated at an event, was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner inside the Hilton Hotel ballroom when shots rung out. Darren Pasha was there at the table and shared this with helmet to heels. I don't even know what that means. That must be a saying. I don't know what that saying is. The people attacking and mocking Erica Kirk tonight prove how evil and disgusting they are. Shame on all of you. Say a prayer for everyone, but a big one for Erica. She's been through enough. None of this disgusting, vile, hateful rhetoric about Erica Kirk would be happening if Candace didn't set her sights on Erica. All of Candace's speculation and allegations come with zero evidence. Candace made an army of spiteful people. So they're blaming this guy doing what he did on Candace Owens. Look at this nut job. Look at her eyes. An active shooter showed up at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The sad thing is, we don't know if the target was Trump or Erica. Dun, dun, dun. We don't know if they want to take them all out. I'm so sick to my stomach. Our country is broken. You guys. She's going to run for president or vice president. That's my only takeaway from that. Because there's no reason why they would bring her up. First of all, why was she there? Why was she there? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? There's a you know what? Should I play it? I'm not going to play it. Erica Kirk said, out of her own mouth, I'm not being a misogynist, that a woman needs to stay home, take care of her kids. The time with them is precious. You cannot focus on work and raising kids. It's a myth, she called it. These are her words. You know what? I guess I will play it. Because it's incredible to me how people act over this. Go to my profile. Because I've been sharing this repeatedly. I've been going back and forth with people who keep making it about her. I literally asked, why are you guys making this about her? Let me go here. There we go. All right, let me pull this up because this is crazy. I want to go home. You probably should have stayed home, but let me pull this up real quick. Oh, I got to pull this one down. This is her words, not mine. I'm not making this up. This is Erica Kirk.
I am the wife. I am in charge of certain things, guardian of the home, helping with the children, That is so I can make it easy for my husband to do what he needs to do. There's a balance there.
I mean, just becoming a CEO of a shoe company is not going to give you happiness.
Women have it so mixed up. You can have a career after children, but if you try to have a career while you have your kids, there is no such thing as balance. That is such a myth. I can't spend half of the day doing one thing. I missed out half of that time with being with the kids. So like you have to choose where your heart has to be fully with the home. You have to make that decision on your own, but you can always, after your kids are in school or after they're in high school, you can always go back to work. You can always find a way to get back into the workforce. But if you miss those precious
years,
first few years, that is so hard to make up because memories are so much more important than an added paycheck. And
look, it's how God has wired us, and it's our nature, which is to have children, not just have a bigger bank account.
100%. This is incorrect, and I'm going to show you why that's incorrect. Respect, though. And I'm not being disrespectful to you. You're just wrong, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. Oh my gosh. What is going on? This is on Grok. On Grok, pull this back up. Why is it black? That's weird. I may have to remove it and pull it back up. I've been switching too many times. Stop screen share. Screen share. All right, so Bradlin or Brailladin, sorry, don't want to butcher your name. If you ask Grok what Erica's net worth is, her net worth is estimated at over 20 million. This was before the year was out. And that's because she got 10 million from her husband, life insurance, 10 million in donations, and she sold a home for 2 million. So if your position is she has to go to work, because I heard her say that she's got to be the breadwinner. That's a lie. She does not have to go to work. She's got $22 million at least. This was as of November of 2025. She don't have to work. She's going back on what she said. That's it. There's nothing wrong with wanting to work, but if your position is you should be at home, raising your kids, not losing the precious time with those kids, that you can't get that time back. Mothers, it's a myth. You can't do that. You can't spend half your day at work. If that's your position, and as soon as your husband dies, you're out being CEO. It's really, really weird for you to say no. Brailden, hopefully I'm saying that right. Hopefully I never end up like this where I just blindly follow a narrative. Kirk had millions too. They don't work for money. They work for what's better for the country. No. Your kids are your priority. It's not about what you want. It's not about what you like. It's not about how you think it would appear if you stayed at home. None of that matters. Your kids matter. They have a 1 and a 3-year-old. I think the other one might be 4 now. So let's just say 2 kids under 4 years old need to be cared for. And running around as CEO, you know, the last time I checked, I remember I originally told I originally told you guys that that she had 24 dates this year. It's over 40 now. She has 40 travel dates. And we're now in April. So 40 travel dates means she's out of town flying or in a hotel at least 2-3 times. We'll just say 3 times a month. Where are the 1 and 3-year-old or 1 and 4-year-old? Remember, those are her values, not mine. I mean, I agree with her, but those are her values. She's the one who laid that out. She said, women, you can't do this. Doesn't work. All of a sudden, you're the boss. And you're saying, I gotta make the money for the kids. I gotta make the money for the kiddos. No, that's not how it works. It's not at all how it works. Who has her kids, Explorer? Who has them? It's not her mom. You know why? Because her mom's sick too. So instead of spending time with her mom and her kids, she wants to be Charlie Kirk. She wants to be the boss. She wants to apparently run for some kind of office because there's no reason they're pushing her the way that they are. There's no way. Making the country better. So you think getting votes now while our kids are 4 and under is more important than actually being there for your kids. Is that what you're saying? These narratives, you guys don't think these narratives all the way through. Because is it better to be with your kid and actually teach them stuff and that they actually see they need you at this age? I have a 7-year-old. Just went through this. They soak up everything. They're like little sponges. Everything you do, how you look at them, they learn social cues from you. They learn everything from you. She's traveling. 40 dates on her calendar. And then when she feels like, oh man, I got to go back home. I'm just going to be home. I'm worried. There's a safety concern. You're with the vice president. Yeah, but my people, the ones who allowed my husband to get assassinated, they say that this is dangerous. Oh yeah? Why didn't you fire them? Erica, why do you still have the people who didn't even bother to walk up a flight of steps and allowed your husband to get shot in front of the world? And that's still your head of security. How? Never crossed your mind that maybe I should fire him? You know what? There's so much with her. Here's my favorite part. Yeah, I'm jealous. I'm jealous that I'm alive and her husband got slaughtered. I wouldn't want to be her husband. Trust me. I'm jealous. Her ex-husband, I've talked about this before. Or not a husband. Her ex-boyfriend. A month after her husband was assassinated, she hired her ex-boyfriend onto TPUSA, and her ex-boyfriend, who actually worked for Daily Wire, who hated her husband. She hires her ex-boyfriend who worked at Daily Wire to get on stage and do several events preaching on how it is to be like her dead husband. Does that make sense to anybody? Have you ever seen anything like that where your husband dies and then you hire your ex to represent your dead husband? Is that weird? Is that weird to anybody else? Or is it just me? Am I the only one? Let me see if I can find this. Oh, let me see. Hold on. I think I have it on my phone, so I may not have it. But the nerve. Oh, here it is. Oh, yeah, here it is. The nerve to hire the ex-boyfriend that you had right before your husband. The nerve to have this guy do this. This is disgusting. And anyone who doesn't see a problem with this, you're probably not in a relationship. This is so insane. I need you guys to look at this because this guy is the ex-boyfriend that she had before she met Charlie. So essentially, when she left this guy, she ended up with Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk gets killed, and she hires this guy, her ex-boyfriend, to teach seminars on how to lead like her dead husband. I need you to think about that. All the women, all the men, everybody. If you pass away and the first person that your partner, whether it's your wife or your husband, depending on if you're a man or a woman, the first person they hire is their ex, that a problem? Because that's her ex. Travel the world with this guy. What a great guy. He knew Charlie, by the way. Did you know he knew Charlie? They played basketball together. So she's no longer with him, ends up with Charlie. Charlie dies. Guess who she hires? Is that a problem? No? No? Is that not weird to anybody else? Am I the only one? There's no way she could get elected. I will make 1,000 videos on why she should never get elected. It's not going to happen. There's just no way. But very weird, exactly. It doesn't get much weirder than that. It's like, your ex? How does your family even like, what about his family? Like, wouldn't you be like, hold on, that's the dude she was dating before my dead son or my brother? Like, everyone should look at that and be like, ooh, this is weird. This is not good. Because the first thing that has to come to your mind is, that's your ex. What are you doing? But what do? Oh, that's the grieving widow. He's defending her on X, of course. How dare people attack a grieving widow? Yeah, you're probably attacking her in the bedroom. I can't see it any other way. There's no way I could be okay with that. There's just no way. Dead or alive, it's not good, lady. So let me pull this.
We've been told that.
All right, so this is Kash Patel earlier, a few months ago. I don't know exactly when. I think it's January. This guy's Joe Kent, and he's going to explain what Kash Patel did. And this is in relation to what we just saw. Because Kash Patel, somebody said something earlier, and I was like, I'm going to show you why I don't believe a word Kash Patel says. It's time. I'm going to show you why I don't believe a word Kash Patel says.
This individual,
Robinson,
is a lone gunman, and maybe he is. But the investigation that
you don't need me
the
twice.
National Counterterrorism Center was a part of, we were stopped from continuing to investigate. And the FBI will say that they stopped that because they wanted to turn everything over to the Utah state authorities. Everything's going to trial. It's very, very sensitive. But there was still a lot for us to look into that I can't really get into. But there was still linkage for us to investigate that we needed to run down. And I'm not making any conclusions. I'm not saying
I don't think you
because of this happened. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying there's unanswered questions. We know the pressure because of the text messages that have been made public that Charlie was under a lot of pressure from a lot of pro-Israel donors. And again, we know Charlie was advocating to President Trump against this war with Iran. And we knew at the end of the 12-day war, at the end of Midnight Hammer, that the Israelis were going to come back and ask us to go back to war again.
Right.
So we have a lot of data points between Butler, the assassination attempts against President Trump, the breaches of his security, what happened to Charlie Kirk.
To hear you confirm what was reported in the media several months ago, that your office had been blocked from investigating his murder, that does not make sense to me. I don't understand why you would ever turn down help in an investigation from a...
All right, so the comments were going fast. I was not able to see all of them. Not worth it. Which chat are you in? Are you in the vertical? Because that's one thing we're not going to do. I appreciate that. Not worth it. Thank you for pointing that out. Johnny boy, I don't even know if you're black. So what we're not going to do is do that. We don't do spam. So you can stop now or be gone. I got you. Yeah, if all right, cold, another one. We can't do that. You know we can't do that. We can't do that. So all of this racial stuff, we're not doing that. That's not how we get down. I apologize. I don't even know how long it's been going on because the comments are flying. But that's ridiculous, dude. What are we doing? What are we doing? Some of us do support or did support Trump. Some of us don't. But spamming is not going to change that. Like, what are we doing? That's silly. We're not playing that game. Sorry about that. All right, here we go.
U.S. agency with a lot of experience in gathering intelligence on things. That's your job.
The FBI will say, and the DOJ will say that because it's an ongoing case, it's a Utah State case, that back off, they've got it. They've got a smoking case. They've got the fingerprints on the gun, and they've got the kid.
But the FBI was involved in the case.
The FBI was involved. The FBI's basically said that they're deferring to Utah because it's now a state case.
But they've established a precedent for federal investigation of this crime.
Yeah, and the National Counterterrorism Center's mandate is to investigate any foreign ties, to see if there's potentially any foreign ties. If we don't find any foreign ties, we back off. What I'm saying, without getting into too much detail, is there was more for us to investigate.
You believe there was reason to investigate foreign ties to Charlie Kirk's murder and were told by the FBI, DOJ?
FBI and DOJ, yeah.
No, you're not allowed to investigate that.
Stop. It's done. They basically cut off our access to be able to get into that information. And look, I didn't even say necessarily that I believe there's 100% foreign ties. There were data points that we needed to investigate. I mean, I think anybody who's even looked at any kind of police investigation, you get 100 leads, you run them down, and 99 don't mean anything.
What were you told was the reason to prevent you as a federal intelligence official running the National Counterterrorism Center from looking into the murder when you had reason to look into it?
Well, the way the bureaucracy works is they can just kill things in process. So initially we were cut off pretty early on from being able to access like the files and to being able to send people out there. We sent people out initially to work in the task force. After the crisis period, the first week or so, that dispersed, and we basically were told that, hey, we'll get back to you if we find any kind of foreign ties, et cetera, that we want you guys to look into. Meanwhile, we had already dug up a decent amount of leads. Again, I'm not saying that we had anything concrete, but we found more work that we needed to do to say that we had done our due diligence. We were then told that, hey, you guys need to stop. You can't work on this anymore.
The information.
So Kash Patel blocked the ability to look into this. This is why when he was saying earlier, send us any tips, we can do all this. It's hard to accept that from him because he blocks investigations. This is Tyler Robinson, the guy who is alleged to have unalived Charlie Kirk. This is his attorneys. I want you to hear his issue with what the feds are doing right now. Come on, man. Why? What are we doing? Let's have some kind of decorum, shall we? Come on, people. Come on.
Specifically relies upon two types of DNA evidence. First, the information, and it's actually the probable cause statement in the information, docket number 1. At the bottom of page 3, the probable cause statement alleges that DNA consistent with Robinson was found on the rifle's trigger. Second, the probable cause statement in support of the information says, in the middle of page 6, the rifle, ammunition rounds, and towel were sent for forensic processing. DNA consistent with Robinson's was found on the trigger, other parts of the rifle, the fired cartridge casing, 2 of the 3 unfired cartridges, and the towel. We have not received the discovery, and I'm not talking about expert notice, I will address that. We have not received the physical evidence and the electronic evidence that supports those assertions made by Mr. Gray when he swore to the probable cause statement attached to the information. We are not talking about the broad scope of expert notice, of expert discovery that Mr. McBride is talking about. We're talking about physical and electronic evidence, which first, the information was based upon, as I just said. And then second of all, as Mr. McBride acknowledges, the state intends to present the limited DNA evidence that it has without even having the data files been made available to us. And I want to drill down on this very specifically because I think it's appropriate, but the state sent us, but did not file with the court, a memo outlining the witnesses they intend to call at the preliminary hearing and the exhibits that they intend to offer at the preliminary hearing. And I'm going to respect that it's their present plans, and it's not something that necessarily should be filed under seal, filed publicly. But as Mr. McBride acknowledges, that includes 3 DNA reports. We have those reports. We just don't have the data that the authors of the reports relied upon for those conclusions. And I'm not talking about their CVs, I'm not talking about their published writings, I'm not talking about their prior testimony, I'm not even talking about all of the things that Mr. McBride acknowledges we've asked for, and that there may be a fight about later in terms of discoverability under Daubert, under 702. We're talking about a core data file. It's literally a data file, one from the ATF and one from the FBI, that they generated back in September that hasn't been provided to us. So we can provide that to our experts to help us assess whether or not there are reliability problems with the reports that the state wants to offer through 1102B4.
So what he's talking about is the FBI in the Tyler Robinson case. Tyler Robinson is the guy who they said unalived Charlie Kirk. The FBI did these ballistic reports on the bullet and on DNA. And they sent in summary reports. What he's asking for is, well, I want to know how you came to this conclusion. Like, I don't need your summary because this is what you think the data says. I want the data so I can send it to my people so they can tell me, yes, I agree with the FBI and ATF, or no, this is what I think it means. The FBI won't supply that. Who is the FBI? Kash Patel. Now, Kash Patel said when all this happened to Joe Kent, which is why I just played that, Utah has it. It's their case. This is Utah's case. We handed everything over to them. There's nothing else for you to look at. This is what we just watched him. We didn't watch him say it. We just watched Joe Kent say that that's what he was told. Okay, so if you gave them all the information, why is Tyler Robinson's lawyer in court as of what, a few days ago, saying, hey, FBI won't send me the data. They're just sending me their conclusion of the data. This is their interpretation. This is what they think the data means. I have experts who are willing to look at the data. They won't send it to me. This is a problem. This is a big problem. And so far, I can't say this is a bad judge because I don't know. But as this is going on, I'm going to be watching this like, this is weird. This is really weird. Because if you're sitting here showing, and they showed it to the world, this ballistic report that says that, it's inconclusive, but it also matches, the class of bullet that would be fired out of this rifle if it were the rifle that was fired. FBI still has the rifle. They have the body. The defense needs access to that stuff in order to be able to defend against these claims. And Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, is not turning the stuff over.
So we're not talking about the slippery slope and months of litigation of Daubert-type expert notice. Mr. McBride is right that at a certain time and place, there will be discovery litigation related to experts and then admissibility litigation related to experts. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about very concrete data files that our experts are waiting for. And when I say data files, I literally mean the digitization of physical evidence obtained from our client and from these objects. We didn't choose for the state to present DNA evidence at the prelim. That's their choice. And that's why.
Now, mind you, the FBI did all this testing for the DNA and on the bullet fragments. They did all this testing back in September, late September. It's April 28th. 1:27 on April 28th. My time is 1:27. Why has Kash Patel held on to this evidence? And not worth it. I got rid of that comment. I don't know if you can still see it. I deleted it because I timed them out. But so they're saying it's inconclusive, which actually helps the defense. So the defense is like, okay, well, there's no reason to test anymore. They're trying to block more testing because they're saying, well, wait a minute. We haven't got a chance to test it. I want to test it. So if my expert also comes back saying that it's, we can't confirm or deny that this bullet matches, then that, if I can't do that, why would I allow you to keep testing until you get the result you want? And that's what's happening right now. This is what we're looking at. It said it's still there. It says I deleted it. Let me see. Sorry, guys. There was a comment in there that can get me in trouble. Let's do this. That should have done it. Sorry, I had to get rid of a comment. So the FBI, Kash Patel, will not turn over the data. He just wants to give his conclusion or his people's conclusion. And the defense is saying, I can't defend my client when I don't have the information. I just need the information. And they want to speed this up, to somebody's point who just asked why she wants a speedy trial. They want to speed this up, but I haven't even got all the information that I need to make a defense. How's this fair?
Having this dispute right now. The question that I think this court needs to also address is when Mr. McBride talks about what discovery is, quote, reasonably available to the prosecution. How can this court conclude that not having these data files is reasonable, given that the ATF and the FBI generated these data files from the swabs months ago? They've concluded their work, as far as we know. They've generated reports. The state believes that the reports are sufficiently final that they would offer them into evidence in a preliminary hearing. So I think this court should make the finding that those reports are reasonably available and that they should be produced to us. Mr. McBride, probably because he can't, still hasn't told the court why we don't have the data files. So where Mr. McBride, with all due respect to his advocacy, because he's a fantastic advocate, goes, is he goes into the slippery slope of expert discovery and expert notice and Daubert, and that's really not what we're talking about here. We're also not talking about the bullet fragment further testing issue, which has previously been described as the January 9th motion, which the court unsealed. That is not a DNA issue. That is about what happens to a bullet fragment when a federal law enforcement lab wants to do what they call destructive testing. It's not to get DNA off of it. It's to look at whether that bullet fragment can be related to the other evidence in the case, because the ATF's first conclusion, as the court knows, is that they couldn't say either way where that bullet fragment came from in terms of firearms. So that is not what we're talking about here. There is a ballistics report that the state wants to offer into evidence at the prelim, but we're talking about DNA reports. And I do want to say, however, that we are not suggesting that the preliminary hearing be postponed until this dispute about the destructive testing of this bullet fragment is resolved. But it was a federal law enforcement lab that said, we're not going to permit a defense expert to observe the destructive testing, and we're not going to videotape the destructive testing. We're going to do this behind closed doors. But that's not what we're talking about here today. That's a different issue for a different time. And
another issue.
I don't think it has anything to do with when the preliminary hearing occurs. My final thought.
And what's really bad about that is, again, they're saying this is our summary and this is our opinion based on data, but we're not going to give the defense the data. You just have to accept that this is our summary and our findings. I don't know how a case can move forward like that. I just don't. I don't know how the case can even move forward. You're not allowing the defense to defend, and I'm not defending Tyler Robinson. I don't know if he did it. I haven't seen anything that says he did do it. Everything, they keep saying overwhelming evidence, overwhelming. I haven't seen anything that says he did it. Everything that they've released shows, it gives me doubt. And they have to make the case beyond a reasonable doubt. This is pretty bad. But the FBI, Kash Patel, the only reason I'm covering this is because Kash Patel earlier, when we're talking about this new case where the guy ran through, kept saying that he's going to release information when it becomes available. It never becomes available when it comes to this guy, not even to the defense of the people that they're prosecuting. And he told Joe Kent, we gave over everything to Utah, let them handle the case. It's an open and shut case. And now, right now in court, the prosecution and the defense are saying, hey, can we get the data? Kash Patel's saying, now you got a subpoena for it. That's interesting.
Is that this court should direct the state attorneys to find out when the data files will be produced. And once we know that date, and they actually are produced, then we've already told the court that there's a concrete amount of time that our experts need in order to analyze them.
That's it. That's it. So that's one. That's two incidences now. So we have the Cole Thomas Allen. Why do they always have three names? You notice that? I guess Thomas Crooks didn't have three, but assassins always have three names. They always give their middle name. That's weird. But anyway, Cole Thomas Allen, mechanical engineer, super smart guy, lone, of course, because there's no such thing as conspiracy. Lone wolf just decided to do this thing, and it may be true. I just find it weird that they all do the same thing. Left a manifesto, so he rates to everybody why he's going to do what he's going to do. Gives all the evidence that leads to him and only him. This is why I don't like assassinations, because they always make it very crystal clear that it's one guy. There's no reason to announce it's one guy. It should be assumed, right? But we don't assume it because it's the federal government. Lone gunman decided to do this. He left all the evidence. He left a little short story about why he's doing what he's going to do. He summarized it for us. He gave his summary. And he apologizes to everybody who loves him. And then he gives them more information on, hey, by the way, look under this and look over here. And I left all these clues for you. Well, I thought you said you weren't going to ever tell anybody. This is what we're looking at here. They always do this. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't really fit a profile. But now we're moving on to Thomas Crooks, because Tucker Carlson is the only person who uncovered some really crazy information. This is the guy who shot Trump in the ear. So there's a pattern. And this is why I don't believe anything the government says, including Trump. I don't believe anything, because you're the president of the United States. You got shot and you don't seem willing to tell us what happened. Why does Tucker Carlson have to be the one to tell us all this? This is fascinating stuff. It's not the whole thing. It's not even half, but this is information that's just crazy that you may not remember. But Trump was shot while he was running for president this last go around. And nothing came out about this guy. In fact, while it was happening, they said there's no digital footprint. This is wild.
Since the start of their investigation, the FBI has claimed that Thomas Crooks acted alone and that he was a virtual ghost online with no presence at all. Their only substantive claim about Crooks' motive was that he was a right-winger. We learned that from FBI Deputy Director Paula Bate, who said this to Congress just 1 month after the attempted assassination.
Something just very recently uncovered that I want to share is a social media account which is believed to be associated with the shooter in about the 2019-2020 timeframe. There were over 700 comments posted from this account. Some of these comments, if ultimately attributable to the shooter, appear to reflect anti-Semitic and anti-immigration themes, to espouse political violence, and are described as extreme in nature.
And before we go on, this was during the Biden administration. So what do they say? Extreme right-winger. And what are we saying now when Alan Thomas Cole storms into a building that he should have no access to? Extreme left-winger. They want to keep this binary. They don't want to talk about just crazy people. They don't want to talk about, the government and their impact or their role in whatever this is. What they want to do is they want to push narratives to keep us fighting over little topics. Not that abortion isn't a big topic, but they want us fighting over that. They want you fighting over, illegal immigration, which is huge, but that takes your eyes off of what's happening in front of you, which are assassinations. Extreme elitists harming children worldwide. Not all of world, but world leaders, people all over the world with the most powerful billionaires, gazillionaires, it's not a word. But these people are allowed to do anything to children and get away with it. We're never going to hold them accountable. So in my mind, that's the biggest issue. Epstein Files was the biggest thing, because it wasn't just about one guy. It was about the fact that he can get away with it. World leaders can get away with it and nothing happened to them. They can do whatever they want. And earlier I had somebody in the chat talking about, well, Erica Kirk, she doesn't need to be with her kids because she's going to make the world better for her kids. How about standing up and saying, hey, Trump, how about you get that Epstein File stuff out? How about we do that? They want to make it about Democrat versus Republican. And I'm not either, so it doesn't matter. To me, they're both leftists.
We're on YouTube threatening to shoot government officials. I sure hope the FBI is monitoring social media for violent nutcases. That exchange is still available on Internet Archive websites. But the FBI didn't see that before the shooting? That's hard to believe. On various occasions, Crooks openly said things like, Mueller should be hanged along with the rest of the Democrats involved in that witch hunt, and I always believed being patriotic was lining up a bunch of socialist Jews, like the ones who booed Trump, and blasting their useless brains out with an AR. And yet, in early 2020, Crooks seemed to change radically. On January 23rd of that year, he referred to, quote, Trump's stupidity. He began to mock the concept of the deep state. He suggested it was a code word used by Trump supporters for, quote, anyone who disagrees with the right wing. Suddenly, he sounded like an MSNBC commentator. In February of 2020, he called out Trump supporters as, quote, too brainwashed to realize how dumb you are. I mean, literally, you guys sound like a cult at times. That same day, he called Trump and his supporters, quote, racist. It was an amazing transformation. That April, during the peak phase of the coronavirus lockdowns, Crooks wrote, quote, it seems that you people don't understand that sometimes public safety comes before your personal rights. Are you not willing to quarantine one member of your family to save the rest? If so, you are not a patriot, and you aren't protecting anything. Around this time, the new left-wing version of Thomas Crooks became very critical of conservative media. He said at one point, quote, going to a Chinese New Year's party in America isn't putting you at risk for coronavirus, because, believe it or not, viruses don't spread through race like Tucker Carlson probably told you. That May, as state officials across the country overhauled election systems to promote mail-in voting, Crooks attacked Republican concerns about voter fraud as, quote, ignorant. 4 months later, in August 2020, his tone had shifted even further to the left. He said, quote, I believe the outcome will be irrelevant. In response to the same video, Thomas Crooks issued what sounds a lot like a digital manifesto. Quote, in my opinion, the only way to fight the government is with terrorism-style attacks. Sneak a bomb into an essential building and set it off before anyone sees you. Track down any important people or politicians, military leaders, etc., and try to assassinate them. Any sort of head-to-head fight is stupid, and even ambush or surprise attacks likely aren't going to end well. These remarks were especially notable because they came at the final phase of Crooks's YouTube commenting. At that point, a new character emerged into the conversation, a user named Willie Tepes, who started pressuring Crooks to commit violence. For example, quote, if a gun and a badge is all that is needed, then authority obviously comes from the barrel of a gun. We have more guns than they do. There is no way we can avoid a war at this point, so you better just get used to the idea. We have nothing to lose and everything to win. And the alternative, a global police state, is unacceptable. Nothing in life is simple, but that is no argument against doing it. So who is this Willie Tepes? Unfortunately, we don't know. The FBI hasn't made any mention of him in public, although they certainly know he exists. Just days after the shooting, somebody screenshotted Tepes' YouTube account page, despite the fact he had very few followers. To the extent that he can be traced online now, you can find his username being used on a foreign Antifa website. Those sites link him to the Nordic Resistance Movement, which has been designated a terrorist group by the U.S. State Department. That's all we know. We do know, however, that Crooks' online footprint abruptly ends after his encounter with this mysterious figure, Willie Tepes. Regardless of whoever Willie Tepes is or was and what his motives may have been, who he may have been working for, there is no doubt that Crooks was ripe for recruitment by someone. From early 2019 to mid-2020, as his political views were evolving, Crooks searched for Trump more than 700 times online. He also searched for Jack Ruby, the man who assassinated Lee Harvey Oswald. He then submitted queries for craziest chemical reactions, cars running over protesters, best places for mass shooting El Paso, Trump Civil War, Orlando shooting reaction, firing an AR-15 as fast as possible, fertilizer bomb, how to make napalm, how to make a Molotov cocktail, mass shooting Canada, Oklahoma bombing, and sniper in Dallas shooting. He also searched for American Nazi Party, German National Anthem 1933-1945, Hitler's speeches with subtitles, neo-Nazis, and, quote, why gays need to go. The FBI.
So my question, that's insane. Anybody can look at that and say, oh, wow, this is crazy. My question is, why were we told when it happened, when he shot Trump in the ear? Why were we told there was no digital footprint? But Tucker Carlson can find all of this information. And it's validated now. This is insane. The Cole Allen, whatever his name is, Cole Thomas Allen, same thing. And what's really interesting is they're both engineers, really super smart people. And somehow there's this shift. We don't know how it happened. We do know that there are government programs dedicated to this, but I'm not going to go into conspiracies because I don't know if they have anything to do with this. But it's weird to me that somebody will go through all the schooling to get into Caltech, graduate, get their master's degree, just to throw it all away on trying to just randomly run in with weapons to assassinate a president. It's possible, of course. It just doesn't sound likely to me. It doesn't make sense to me. This kid's the same thing. He was younger. I think he was 22 or something like that. He goes to school. He's an engineer. And just all of a sudden, I'm going to jump on a roof and shoot a guy. Like, what's going on here? Is anybody going to look into it? No. Okay. I just think it's weird. Maybe it's just me. This is 2 engineers who've tried to unalive Trump in the last 2 years. That's weird.
I clearly knew he existed. And then you have, at the very end of his years commenting in public, espousing violence, an exchange with a mysterious figure affiliated with a group that we know is being monitored by the U.S. State Department. It turns out that around the same time that Thomas Crooks was making these searches and posting overt threats of violence against public figures on YouTube, the FBI was issuing contracts to private sector tech surveillance firms to harness the power of mass data collection tools that would monitor social media for people just like Thomas Crooks. It's hard to imagine that Thomas Crooks, who was making these posts publicly and in his own name, had not been identified and looked at closely by federal law enforcement. In fact, it's impossible to imagine.
This is the point I was making about Cole Allen, the guy who just ran into the White House Correspondents' Dinner. How do they not know? The guy's making open threats online. Nobody saw it. Nobody ever reported it. But he's still able to sleep in a room right above the ballroom where the president's going to be the next day. Had he set some kind of device or explosive devices in that room, we would have lost a good portion and the top government officials in the world. Trump, Vance, we would have lost both of them out of what? Sheer incompetence. You couldn't tell me, how can somebody make a threat online and it not be flagged to the government? Because I know for a fact, and it didn't happen to me, but I've done videos on it, where if you say something to that even sounds remotely threatening about the president, they'll show up at your house. They'll send local agents to your house. And it's like, oh, okay. You know, and I used to look at that like, man, that's crazy, free speech. But at the same time, you're making a threat. They have to at least look at it. It's wild.
What do we know? Well, we know that the FBI had access to these YouTube comments, and rather than giving us valuable information about them, giving us a sense of why Thomas Crooks did what he did, they used a selective read of those comments to lie about what Thomas Crooks was thinking. 2.5 weeks after the attack on July 30th, a source familiar with the investigation told CNN that, quote, federal investigators are looking into a YouTube account possibly connected to Crooks in which the user espoused political violence as well as anti-Semitic and anti-immigration themes. Well, of course, it wasn't possibly connected to Thomas Crooks, as the FBI knew full well it was Thomas Crooks' account. There was never any question about that. And yet the same day, the FBI's then deputy director made the same dishonest claim before Congress. In February 2025, the New York Post reported that, quote, the FBI has obstructed efforts to solve the mystery of why Thomas Matthew Crooks, who left no manifesto, did what he did. And this fact, said the Post, left local law enforcement as well as Crooks' former friends, classmates, and teachers frustrated. The level of lying and obstruction is shocking. Less than a month after the shooting, Congressman Clay Higgins of Louisiana, a former police officer, traveled to Butler to conduct his own investigation into what happened. When he arrived, he discovered a disturbing fact. The FBI released Crooks' body for cremation 10 days after July 13th. This wasn't known to the public until Higgins arrived in Butler on August 5th, when the coroner told the congressman, quote, he would never have released Crooks' body to the family for cremation or burial without specific permission from the FBI. The timing of Crooks' cremation is notable. The day Crooks' body was burned was also the day the House Homeland Security and Oversight Committees had begun their investigations into the shooting. The fact the body was cremated made it impossible for investigators outside the FBI to verify the coroner and autopsy report. You can't do
it's the same thing. Like, so the good thing is, I don't know how good it is, but Cole Allen is alive, so that they can interrogate, they can do whatever they need to do. But when you look at this guy, they unalived him, scrubbed where he was, cremated his body so that it can't be looked into. That's a problem. That is a problem. But Donald Trump, when he got in office, didn't release any of this. Tucker Carlson had to do this. Why? You're the one who was shot. You're the one who was shot in front of all of us.
A new talk screen because the body doesn't exist. According to Higgins, quote, this action by the FBI can only be described by any reasonable man as an obstruction to any following investigative effort. Another notable detail is that photos from the day after the shooting show an FBI agent hosing down the site where Crooks died. High-level intelligence officials and congressional sources told us this is very strange, and that the FBI usually hires out crime scene cleanup to third-party contractors. But in this case, they did it themselves, leaving no blood and no tissue for anyone else to analyze. In the photo, the agent's shirt says he's from the Technical Hazards Response Unit, a unit that collects traditional forensic evidence contaminated with hazardous materials. After the shooting, the FBI sent Crooks' phone to the Bureau's laboratory at Quantico, Virginia. Agents there were able to open it in less than 40 minutes using technology from an Israeli tech firm called Celebrate. According to the Post, FBI officials who served under President Joe Biden accessed Crooks' phone, computer, and his encrypted messaging apps in Belgium, New Zealand, and Germany. Yet none of the online activity the FBI has discovered was referred to in any way in the final congressional report that was released in December of 2024.
How is that possible? They had everything on them. This is why I will openly say Cash Patel's lying when he said, "Oh, well, we'll release the information to the public." I guess what? When? They never release it. They never release anything to the public. And transparency was one of the biggest campaign promises.
Wait, why do we still know nothing about that guy in Butler? What's going on?
Yeah.
That was a good question, a question that most people thought would be answered by the new administration. Within weeks of retaking office, Donald Trump told the New York Post's Miranda Devine that he had, quote, ordered the Secret Service on Friday to provide him every bit of information about his two would-be assassins.
Now, he did the same thing with Epstein. He said, as soon as we get in, I'm going to demand the release of the Epstein files. I'm going to demand the releasing of JFK and MLK assassinations, UFOs, all this stuff. He said, I'm going to demand it. We're going to be the most transparent administration ever. And they're doing a little bit with UFOs, but they're also unaliving a lot of the scientists and the people who are looking into the UFO stuff. Not going to get into that. That's completely separate. And it's off topic. But we haven't seen anything like. So we got some of the JFK information, the MLK information. Once I got that, I realized, oh, now I know why they didn't want to release it. He's not who we thought he was. So we get it. But this doesn't make sense because it's you. You got shot. Why don't you want us to know what happened? But that's part of transparency. We should know what happened. We want to know. Otherwise, the next time something happens like this, we're going to be wondering if it's true, which is why my live is titled what it is. They're just making excuses and they're not being transparent. We need to know this stuff. Trust in our administration is very, very important. Because if you have half the people who, I mocked Joe Biden and I didn't trust anything, that's fine. That's this half. The left loved it. Okay, so then when the administrations changed, I was rooting on Trump, and the left hated it. I get that. But when nobody trusts the administration, we have a really, really, really volatile situation. And a president getting shot, if he was successful in unaliving Trump, the turmoil and the chaos that would have happened in this country would have been, it really, really, really could have been bad for this country. Because I don't think people on the left really understand how volatile it is when it came to Trump and when he got shot. Because if they were successful at that, you think we're talking about, left violence, this, that. No. This would have been really, 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 really bad. Because the left cries about the Proud Boys coming and punching him in the face while they're the ones being violent. Imagine 70 million people doing that. Because that's what would have happened. And it's scary to even think about because that's not an understatement. What Serpent Bloodline put is not an understatement. It could have gotten really, really ugly, really, really fast. And who are the people who are armed? Alberto, you don't understand what's happening, sir. Because there's one side that's all against guns and no, we can't have this. And there's another side who's saying we're collecting them and we've been collecting them. I'm on that side. You don't know what I got and you. I'm telling you, those red states are different. People in New York and Los Angeles, we're in the big city, even Illinois and Chicago, you guys don't understand. Because what you guys are dealing with is illegal violence and illegal weapons. There's more legal weapons than there are people in this country. Legal. And we own all of them. It would have gotten really, really ugly, really, really fast. So when they're playing this game and they're not being transparent, and now you have a full country that doesn't believe in Trump, or I won't say full. You have most people now not believing what Trump's doing. That's bad. That's volatile. That can cause problems. So you need to be transparent, Mr. Trump. I know you're never going to see this, but you need to understand how scary this is, because I don't want this to happen, but I'm not going to be one of those people in the purge that's going to be a victim. I'm telling you that right now. Can't happen.
We've had 2 assassination attempts. One, obviously, where you got hit by that bullet in Butler. There's a lot of frustration that we still don't know about that shooting.
I hope this is a typo. I hope this is either sarcasm or a typo. I really do. I would say about 30% of people like him. I would say that. And I'm telling you. I'm telling you. This is just what it is.
Butler, and we don't know about his communications. We get stonewalled all the time asking questions about it. Is there frustration on your part? Will we get transparency? Will we know the bottom line story?
It's very interesting because we have great people. I think Pam is incredible. I think Cash is incredible. And they're doing a great job. They're being recognized as doing a great job.
But you're the president. Can't you find out?
No, I know. I'm relying on my people to tell me what it is.
But his people insist there's nothing there, and they don't seem interested in finding out more.
How come we don't have more information on the assassination attempts on President Trump?
There's 2 reasons.
This is a clown
to open
show.
Ongoing prosecutions. But we have personally invested our time in making sure that we have looked at any possible international connections to terrorism and adversaries alike. And we've both been down to Quantico. We've both done the laboratory testing. We've both seen the explosives analysis. We've both seen the firearm and physically held it. We are all in on these investigations.
Are we going to be surprised at what you learned?
You know what, Maria? Cash is not kidding. We've been personally briefed extensively on every single detail, nugget, tendril of this case. One is actively in court right now, so out of respect for the case, it's probably more appropriate that I stay quiet on that. However, I'm not going to tell people what they want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth, and whether you like it or not is up to you. If there was a big explosive there, right? Given my history as a Secret Service agent and my personal friendship as a director does with the president, give me one logical, sensible reason we would not have. If you can think of one, there isn't. There in some of these cases, the there you're looking for is not there.
What a baffling thing to say. Thomas Crooks is dead, of course. There was no trial against Thomas Crooks.
Yeah, well, so he said there's 2 active trials right now. Against who? We haven't heard about this. Why don't we know who these people are who are under trial for Thomas Crooks trying to unalive the president? So it was a conspiracy? Who are the 2 people that are on trial, Cash Patel? Who are these people? I found that fascinating that he would say that there are 2 trials, which is why we can't talk about it. Remember at the beginning when he was talking about Alan Thomas Cole or whatever? He said, oh, we can't talk about it because it's an active investigation, and there's a trial going to come. This is his thing. This is what he does. That's his talking point. That's his way of not answering questions on purpose. 2 trials against who? Who are the people who are on trial right now for Thomas Crooks shooting Trump? This is how they just don't answer questions. What's up, man? My point is, Thomas Crooks, Tyler Robinson, Alan Thomas Cole are all alleged unalivers, and our government will not give the information about them. Tucker Carlson had to go get information about them. Our government will not tell us the results of why what happened and how it can happen again. They won't give us this information. And our government, our current administration, ran on transparency and not doing exactly what they're doing. That's the point. That's the point. If you run and say, we're going to be the most transparent administration ever, everyone's going to know everything, and then you don't, we have a problem.
And by the way, they weren't misspeaking. This wasn't an accident. We know that because the director of the FBI said the same thing once again under oath in front of Congress in September.
When your predecessor sat right there in that seat a couple years ago, last year in a committee hearing, I asked him a very detailed question about Matthew Thomas Crooks, the shooter responsible for the assassination attempt on President Trump's life. I did get an answer from Chris Wray that day, and I submitted written questions to the FBI and into the record of this committee, and I want to resubmit those questions today because I think we are still awaiting answers to those questions. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to submit them for the record, please. I'd like to ask you, sir, and the FBI.
Oh, I want you to listen to this. Who said? Google it. Look up the information. This is so naive, and I don't mean any disrespect. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh at you. But I want you to listen because this is a congressional hearing that you're watching right here. I want you to listen because congressmen can't get the information from the FBI. Right now, I just showed you guys, and you may just have gotten here, so that's fine. Congress, or not Congress, I'm sorry. The attorneys for Tyler Robinson are being stonewalled by the FBI, by Kash Patel, on information that he needs to defend his client. So can I Google that? Yeah, it's old, but all right. Listen. Here's the problem. Maybe you're not listening. Listen to what the problem was with Kash Patel, because they go 2 straight years of stonewalling. And Congress is the one saying it.
Under your leadership, would you please respond to these questions, and can you commit to doing that?
As soon as the trial's over.
But if it's true that there's nothing here, then the FBI has a very strange way of showing it. In July of 2024, a bipartisan group of senators, led by Republican Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, sent a letter, quote, requesting records related to the July 13th, 2024 assassination attempt. Fully a year later, the FBI still had not responded. What is this about? This summer, Senator Johnson issued a new subpoena, noting that, quote, nearly a year after the assassination attempt and the initiation of the subcommittee's investigation, the FBI has repeatedly failed to produce the subcommittee records and information critical to its investigation. In the subpoena, they demanded pictures and images related to the assassination, video footage, forensic reports, records related to FBI interviews, and notably, all records referring or relating to any of Thomas Crooks' electronic devices, digital or financial accounts, or online search history. The FBI, as of today, is not only stonewalling, but is actively preventing an honest look at what happened in Butler. Within days of the shooting.
So everybody, just so everybody knows, SBS Auto says that Congress should have just Googled what was going on and they would have got their answers. Arabia, how you doing?
FBI agents collected all the relevant surveillance footage. That includes footage from local businesses, the state police, and critically, the gun range where Thomas Crooks trained. Did he train alone? We don't know, because to this day, the FBI refuses to release the footage. They confirmed it exists. They confirmed the existence of one gaming account, and then publicly said a few days later the account wasn't real. Was that incompetence, or are they lying? Within a day of the shooting, the social media companies that hosted Crooks' comments took his accounts offline. In some cases, the records of those comments in the Internet Archive were also erased. Did the FBI order that too? What we do know is that on the day of the attacks, Thomas Crooks got extremely lucky, miraculously lucky. After he arrived at the Butler County Fairgrounds on the morning of the shooting, Thomas Crooks conducted surveillance by flying his drone over the rally site. He flew that drone for 11 minutes. It just so happened the Secret Service's anti-drone system were down at exactly the same moment. What are the odds? Later that afternoon, police officers saw Crooks loitering with a backpack and a rangefinder. They identified him as a suspicious person, which he clearly was, but quickly lost track of him. And so Crooks climbed to the top of the American Glass Research Building. That happened to be the only building in the area that did not have a video surveillance system. It was also, remarkably, inexplicably, outside the Secret Service's security perimeter, despite the fact it was very close to the stage. 2 local police officers assigned to the building saw Crooks, but they didn't report him. A third officer who was supposed to be there left early. At 6:11 p.m., Crooks opened fire from the rooftop.
Take a look at what happened. I am not asking.
This is also Dan Bongino about Epstein, saying almost identical what he said about Thomas Crooks.
Asking anyone to believe me. I'm telling you what's there and what isn't. Right. There is nothing in the file at this point on the Epstein case, and there's going to be a disclosure on this coming shortly. We are working through there is video. That is something the public does not.
There's video of him killing himself.
No, not the actual act, but the entire MCC Bay. It was only one camera. There were other.
I did a live stream on this, and I showed you guys why he's outright lying. Outright lying. There's no way he could see it. But listen to what he says, how it's clear as day.
There's video that when you look at the video, and we will release, that's what's taken a while on this, we will
release it. We will release it. And when you see what they released, it actually showed somebody going up towards Epstein. But he says he saw it, and it's clear as day.
Working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans. You're going to see there's no one there but him.
Right.
There's just nobody there. So I say to people all the time, if you have a tip, let us know. But there's no DNA, there's no audio, there's no fingerprints, there's no suspects, there's no accomplices, there's no tips, there is nothing. If you have it, I'm happy to see it. There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
I did a full live stream showing it as an absolute lie. There's nothing as clear as day. You couldn't even see his cell from the video that they have. You couldn't even see it. It's an outright lie. But that's all I got for you guys today. The government has to be transparent. That's the whole point of all of this. Because if you're not, you're going to cause issues. And you're going to have people who don't believe anything. And if you have people not believing in anything, including law and order, because there's no reason why the FBI should be interfering in the Utah case, because they literally told Joe Kent that this is Utah's case, open and shut, and then they go to court and they're not providing Tyler Robinson's defense with the data that they use to come to conclusions. They're giving them a summary of their conclusions. That's the federal government doing something bad, wrong. And that's deception. I'm gonna speak. If you love this or you hate it, follow me for more. Like, subscribe, share. There's no reason not to. Come back and hate. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I enjoy it, actually. Amo Speaks. Again, like, subscribe, share. I am